In this video, we are going to make an adjustable wire wrap ring that looks like a snake. For this, you'll need a 20 gauge wire and a 28 gauge wire. You'll also need a bead. I'll be using a stone chip for this, and you'll also need something round to shape your ring on. It doesn't have to be exactly the size of your finger because the ring will be adjustable. For the tools, you'll need round nose pliers, flat nose pliers, and some wire cutters. For the 20 gauge wire, I'll be cutting roughly 40 centimeters. And then for the 28 gauge wire, I will be cutting roughly 2 meters. To start the ring, you want to take your 20 gauge wire and just try and find the middle here. I bend it out a little bit to help me indicate where the middle is, and then when you've got a rough idea of where the middle is, you can grab your round nose pliers and just pinch where the middle is. Now we're going to create the shape of the head of the snake, and to do this I just pinch the wire on either side of the middle and create this diamond shape that sort of looks like the head of a snake. Then here at this stage your wires will cross over. Just make sure to straighten them out so that they don't cross over and that instead they meet up at the end of the head. And then just adjust it a little bit until you're happy with that shape. Once you're happy with that shape, you can take your 28 gauge wire and start wrapping the top left part of the head. The first few wraps are a little bit tricky and you will need to tighten it well. Make sure that they're nice and consistent and close together. But the few wraps after that, they should be pretty easy to do, just keeping next to that first initial wrap. Once you've done around 7 to 10 wraps, you can then pop on your bead onto that 28 gauge wire and slide it all the way to the middle of the head. And then you're going to come and wrap the exact same way as we did before, but just on the opposite side of the head to lock in that bead. And then just repeat that process until you reach the point where both the wires meet. Once you reach the point where both the wires meet, you're going to continue that wrapping but around both the wires together. You should do about 4 or 5 wraps with both the wires together and then go back to your singular wire and only wrap the singular wire 4 times. This is a very basic weaving pattern, just wrapping both the wires together 4 times and then the bottom wire only 4 times. And it's very basic, but it does give a very good result as long as you do it nicely and tightly so that it's very even throughout the entire design. Now we are going to continue the exact same weaving pattern throughout the entire ring. When your ring reaches about 12 centimeters, you can stop doing your pattern, and at this stage we're going to finish off the ring and shape it. So the next stage here I like to do is just straighten out that pattern, because sometimes when you're weaving you can bend the wire a little bit. So it is nice to just straighten that out, make everything nice and even, and then we're going to finish off the ring at the tail bit. To finish off the tail bit, I like to cut one of those wires short and then just do a little circle at the end The reason I like to do this is so that end piece doesn't catch on anything, it doesn't hurt your finger when you're putting it on, it just gets tucked in there. Then I do the same thing on the other wire but a little bit longer so that they don't end at the same point. And once both your wires are cut, you can just go ahead and continue that pattern until you get to the end of the wire. And then just cut the excess 28 gauge wire there. Now our ring is finished and we are just going to shape it on the roll. To do this, I take the head and press the head first on the roll, and then I gently apply pressure to the rest of the body, just shaping it around the roll. And my roll is quite big here, it's definitely bigger than what a finger would be, so I'm just going to take it out, check the sizing, reshape it a little bit so that it actually realistically fits. And at this stage you're finished with the ring. But once you get that base model down and you can do that weave easily, you can really do anything with the shaping of the ring. You can play around with it a lot. And you could even try out different weaving patterns, use different beads on the head. Yeah, there's a lot to explore in this design, and there's a lot of ways you could customize these rings to be really unique to you. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you will make some really cool creations, and I wish you all a very fantastic day. Goodbye.